Welcome to the Tearing It Up podcast. I'm your host, Taryn. We'll be tearing it up, tearing it down, and tearing it apart, dissecting all things related to those who deviate from the standard. From leaders of their industry to leaders of mediocrity, and maybe a gear review or two thrown in. We shoot the shit and let the conversations flow, so if that's not your style, this may not be for you. Otherwise, listen in. Hope to light a fire in you somehow. All right. Another week. We made it here. Another week in a row.
We're such adults.
We're so adulty. Except we better knock on wood and make sure now we don't go like 3 weeks or something. Been on a roll.
But it's Women's History Month and we need to have guests, man.
Exactly. Happy Women's History Month. It's officially March 6th. So yeah, Women's History Month. Cool. I don't know really if there's a bunch of stuff that goes on or not. All I know is like there's International Women's Day that's been kind of a big thing across social media. It feels like the past few years, as I've seen women's organizations like She Jumps and just other things like that they get women out skiing kind of to celebrate that day. And that's Wednesday. So I wanted to try to go ski Wednesday with a couple of my gal friends, but I don't know exactly what will happen just because of weather. We're like getting more. It's snowing right now again. So it just
y'all are getting nuked.
Yeah. So last episode, when we were recording, we were in the middle of like a blizzard here in Tahoe, and it continued to snow pretty much throughout the week. We got like 10 feet of snow throughout the week. And that's not like at my house directly or anything. That's in just scattered places, different elevations. But I believe this is a record from October to February, the amount of snowfall since like 1970. So you have over 500 inches of cumulative snow this whole year.
Awesome. California needs it so fucking bad. I mean, it's not going to save California from the drought that it's been experiencing for the past however long, but it's better than nothing.
Yeah. Hey, dogs, stop. I don't know if their father is home. I didn't see his truck lights, but hold on. So yeah, 10 feet of snow. Yeah, 10 feet of snow around certain places got it. I really don't know how much we got here because with the wind, it's so hard to tell. Like literally Andrew went out to start the tractor the other morning and he was like waist deep in the snow, but then 50 feet to the left it was like 10 inches. So because we also have some obstructions and whatnot that block the wind, so like I said, it was really hard to tell exactly how much snow we got at our place over the last week, but definitely a few feet. And I guess it's supposed to start, well, there's flurries and snowflakes in the forecast for the next like 10 days, but this weekend I think it's supposed to start maybe Friday, another kind of significant storm, but it might be substantially wetter, which I don't know if it's going to be rain or just wet heavy snow. I hope it's not rain just because it would make the snow just really weird and wonky and whatnot. And also if it's rain, then it could cause flooding in places if it's really,
mudslides.
Yeah, if it's gonna take avalanches, but mudslides elsewhere where there's not as much snow. Like Southern California has been hammered with rain and floods. So I'm not sure if this system is statewide like it has seemed to be. It seems like everywhere around California has been getting wet. But yeah, so we'll see what this one brings. I'm for more snow. I don't really want the rain. So like if it's a little bit heavy snow is one thing, but it'll still make things interesting for the snowpack. But I did read a little bit of an article today talking about what you mentioned with like, yeah, it's great for our water, but it's not really gonna erase the past 3 years that were really, really dry. But it will definitely help and set us up. I mean, just going into with this amount of snow going into the spring and summer, having a solid snowpack for a while is just so nice, because there's times on these mountains that there's snow till August, up high. But the last long time, I mean, I think in 2017 we had another good year, 16, 17, and the snow lasted a while. Oh yeah, because we skied on my birthday that year, I think. So in July, so July 6th, like we went skiing. And so this year maybe something like that. I'm like all for whatever is going to keep the dust and dryness down as long as possible. My dad was like, you got to be getting kind of tired of winter. And I was like, no, it's been too hot and dry here lately. I'm good with keeping that at bay, like as long as possible.
Yeah.
I've been enjoying snowmobiling so much that I just keep thinking about every day it snows. I'm like, oh my God, I hope it's not the last day. Like, I'm not ready. I've just started having so much fun on this thing and being able to enjoy like going out for just an hour or two. That wasn't really that accessible to me last year because of loading the time it takes to load up the snowmobiles and go somewhere and unload and all that. So for me to be able to just get 1 or 2 hours in has just made me so much happier in life than not getting to do it at all. And I felt like before I really had to choose of if I couldn't go for a long time, then it was hard to get out at all. And then it caused a lot of like animosity and resentment in my own mind towards other people who got to go have fun. And it was just so nice today. Just Andrew and I went out. I was super bummed that my friend Tess, she's been hurting lately, just sore from all the shoveling, and she has something going on with her hand. So from all that shoveling, like the nerve problems she's experiencing were just really heightened. So she hasn't been able to snowmobile the last few days. So super bummed that they didn't get to come out, because out on our meadow and our little spots there was no tracks at all, and I was just like, this is fucking amazing. But I got a little bit stuck. Like I just tipped over because I hit a bump a little too hard and just wasn't really expecting it, so didn't have my body position or anything corrected. I just kind of fell off this side. And then this Andrew came, pulled up beside me, and the snowmobile wasn't starting, and he said it wasn't getting any power. So he almost was losing his shit, because it's happened before, like a couple times the sled's been acting up, but never really out somewhere. Like at my class, it was happening in the parking lot, and then at our friends the other week, it happened at when we were trying to go home, but we were at their house at least. So now it's just me and him out in this deep ass snow, and we already know everyone around us can't go out today. So I'm just like, oh my God, who is going to come save us? Like, I got to go to work. And he wants to go have some more fun. But we got it started again. And then from where I was, I don't know, I just didn't think I'd be stuck, but I tried to go, and the snow was just so deep that I got the snowmobile stuck. And he just hopped on, because when it's just us two, sometimes it's a little bit easier and we don't have that much time, a little bit easier for him to just hop on and get it unstuck, because he is more familiar with techniques to do it, like especially if you're not just digging it out. So yeah, I let him jump on, but he dug that thing deep into the snow that it was like at like 10 o'clock. Like the tunnel all the way down and the skis up. And he was so mad at himself, like, why the fuck did I do that? And I'm just like, I don't know.
Better you than me.
Yeah, but then I just felt bad. So we get our shovels out and had to start digging the track out. We dug it enough, and then we were able to like roll it down the hill a little bit. So it got on a slope. Actually, it rolled where the skis were almost facing all the way downhill. So that was good. And it didn't take too long. I think he was starting to worry a bit of like, oh my God, this is going to be so hard to get out, but wasn't too bad. But we were like, all right, yeah, I think it's time to go, because we just don't want any more issues to happen. We don't want to get further out or go longer and really actually get stuck, and then we'll be really mad at ourselves that we didn't just turn around. I mean, I definitely could have kept riding. It was so good, but again, when it's just us two sometimes and I've got something else to do, I'm like, okay, I need to be responsible and go work and whatnot. So on one hand, I'm glad that our friends weren't with us because then we probably would have been out like way too long. And then, but again, it was just so good that I feel bad that she missed out on that. But then when we got home, the point here is that he got to go meet up with his friends at a different spot, and I didn't feel like this anger that I felt before and jealousy of like, oh, well, we're done riding now and I only got to ride for this long. Now I have to go work while you go have fun. Um, I was like, yeah, go have fun. Like, thank you so much for getting me out this morning and coming with me and helping me ride, like just get better, because we actually went to this zone that I felt sometimes with him and I get a little nervous, but I was just like trying the whole time to think like, okay, I can do this, like relax, because when we like are going through trees or it's deep, all I can think about is like, don't get stuck, don't hit the tree, and like, and then you do all those things. So
you're like, don't.
I was trying not to, actively look at the trees, try to look between the trees and just keep like pinning it really, because sometimes I let go in not the right times, and that's when I get stuck. And I was just telling myself the whole time, okay, relax, just go. And I was definitely not like the smoothest of riders as on our way out through some trees, and it got a little bumpy, but I still didn't hit anything and didn't really get stuck. So I was like, okay, just felt like, oh, finally pieces are kind of falling together. And it seems like every time that would happen in years past, then I wouldn't get to go again for like 3 weeks to a month or something. So I'm like, okay, hopefully I can see some solid progression, and then next year actually can start off where I left off and feel more comfortable and confident like going out with my own friends or something without him, because I still am a little apprehensive just to go out with like me and my one friend around here, for one of just getting my wits about myself with directions. Like Andrew's always like, you're not gonna get lost over here. And I'm like, I can get lost anywhere. Um but yeah, women power, International Women's Day and Women's History Month. I want to next year be able to do like an all women's ride and feel confident in setting it up and just having a bunch of ladies snowmobiling out there. So yeah, but anyhow, yeah, we'll see what happens if I can get out to ski on Wednesday or snowboard, or might try and at least snowmobile with a couple of friends out here, but I won't be girls only probably if I go snowmobiling. Yeah. But tomorrow, actually, so speaking of guests, I needed to text her today and I didn't. Well, I still can, but I've talked about having this gal on who did some marketing for me, and she owns a company in town, and also I don't know what the right word is. She runs a charter of an organization that's based out of Reno, and they have a bunch of women's events. It's called Wandering Wild. I think I've talked about them before, but and another gal, Holly, they put on events here in Truckee, the Truckee chapter. And through some other women businesses, they set up a picture of women business owners in Tahoe, and they did it last year and I was sick during it, but it's tomorrow, so all the women business owners in the area are going to get together at this restaurant just for like one big group photo. And again with the weather, I was like, oh man, I wonder if it's gonna be able to happen, because with this amount of people I feel like it has to be outside, but and just if people can get there, depending on how much it snows, the roads have been closed or just so much traffic or whatever. But as of now, it's still on. So that will be exciting. And I'm really excited because I didn't get to make it last year. And now I get to. But last year I was kind of conflicted too, anyways, because it was right around the time that I was like negotiating the position I'm in now And so kind of not really training and knowing that I might be making a change. And I'm like, well, I don't really feel like I represent anything because I'm not running my business actively right now. And this year is kind of the same, but I just feel better and more confident about like, well, fuck that. Like I still have a business and no matter what's going on in it, like I think that I deserve a spot to be there because anyone can
1,000%.
be there. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
like,
your efforts are all valid. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
you put in the work. You
yeah.
still are putting in the work. You've got the credentials. You're still getting
Yeah. It still
credentials.
exists. Like, yeah, it just
Yeah.
doesn't, I mean, people's businesses ebb and flow all the time anyway. So it's like if I just had completely stopped and shut my business down or something, maybe I'd feel differently. But even just like representing the podcast or whatever, I feel
Yeah,
like
totally.
it's all of it. But so that'll be super fun, and it's also just a fun little networking thing to meet some other awesome
Truckee
lady
chick.
business. Yeah, totally. But yeah, other than just shit tons of snow here and that, there ain't much
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah, there's been good snow everywhere in the Cascades. I've been so disconnected that I have no idea what's going on, but I'm glad everyone's been getting their pow pow times in.
Yeah, do you have any idea of when you might be able to like go ride? Do you think you'll be able to before the
Um,
season ends
I
or anything?
currently don't have any plans. I have some buddies who generally go up on Mondays, and I could probably hit a friend up who works at Crystal Mountain and be like, hey, hook it up with the buddy pass because I only want to pay that much $25 as opposed to $200
Yeah.
for a day. But yeah, no real plan. I don't know. I just haven't it hasn't been a priority, which is a bummer, but life just be like that sometimes. But I have been getting out on my mountain bike more and more, so that's
Oh,
great. I got
yeah.
to see out the weekend before last, and then this weekend my homegirl Sherry bought a new mountain bike, and so we went out for a little rip around, and she was just like getting used to the like where the gears are, the shifters, just like getting used to all like the ergonomics of like the brakes, the
Yeah.
gear, the seat dropper post, and all the things. So she loved her new bike rip and it felt great, and I can't wait to I think I'm going to go mountain biking again this weekend. I have a baby shower to go to on Saturday and it's out by 360, so I think I might really get some laps in because I feel like I've been doing a lot on the Peloton, and so I feel like I'm in pretty dang good shape right now as far as like biking goes.
Hmm.
So I feel like I could probably easily put like 10 to 15 miles on a mountain bike, but we'll see. You have all these goals and then you get done with your ride and you're like, what, 8 miles? That's friggin' bullshit. I could have swore I did 15.
Well, it's so
Especially with
crazy.
mountain biking.
Yeah, exactly. It's so crazy the difference between especially stationary
Yeah.
biking and road
Yes.
biking. The miles just seem to go so fast. I mean, unless you're
Yes.
just road biking up straight hills all the time. But yeah, like you said, so many times I do a ride and I'm like, whoo, I'm whooped. And I look at the mileage for mountain biking, I'm like, oh my God. Or when
Yeah.
you check and see, like when you are on a climb or something, you're like, okay, that was like a 4 mile climb. And it
Yeah.
was like three
A
quarters of a mile.
quarter. Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, what the fuck? It's so crazy how much slower you go. And then, I mean, with Peloton, especially, even on the hill, the climb rides,
Yeah.
like I feel that the cadence that they ride those hills at is very high
Yeah.
and does not relate to mountain biking whatsoever. I'm like, who bikes up a hill at this speed? This
Yeah.
is not realistic, which is why I've wanted to do mountain bike specific spin classes.
Okay.
But it's hard. Well, I haven't found any to like take, but I wanted to try to
Yeah.
come up with a format to teach.
Yeah.
But that's hard too because I feel like other than just putting it in a heavy gear and going really slow and sitting and pedaling, you're not getting the technique of climbing a hill,
Yes. Yes.
obviously. So I'm
Yes.
like, I don't know if it's just going to be so hard on your knees and miserable to try
Yes.
to replicate climbing a
Also,
mountain bike hill or what, but it's just like the any class I've had, it does not, I don't feel like it gets me in too great of shape for actually mountain biking. Like I'll Peloton a bunch and be like, yeah, I'm ready. But then yeah, you go out to bike and you're like, holy shit. I feel
yeah.
like I actually cannot climb a hill at all. And I'm sure that's, not true. It totally helps, but
Yeah.
it's just again not, it doesn't transfer over the same exact
Totally.
way.
Yeah.
So
Especially with like a stationary bike, there's no shocks involved, and you lose
yeah.
so much of your energy and your momentum in the shocks,
Mm-hmm.
but you also need them.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I guess that's maybe why some people choose the trainers, the indoor trainers. Again, you're still stationary, but I don't know if you have your, I'm not sure. I really don't know if that would make a big difference using an
Yeah, it's
indoor
like
trainer instead of a stationary bike. But
yeah. But I feel like it like if you put are you saying like if you put your mountain bike on a trainer?
yeah, if it would make any difference because you would at least have the shock there, so you're losing like feeling a little bit of the rebound,
Totally.
thus having your muscles work with that kind of energy
Yeah.
absorption and whatnot. But again, you're still stationary, so I'm sure
Yeah.
not
You
not
don't
too
have
much
like
difference.
the pitches or like the different textures of soil underneath your tires or like yeah, the whole like having to be aggressive in a climb but also
Mm-hmm.
seated. It's like I was telling my friend Sherry, I kept on because like whenever I ride with Quincy, I'm always like, all right, Quincy, we've got a hill coming up. You're gonna want to be in this gear and you're gonna want to sit down and I was doing the same thing to her and I was like, oh my God, I'm probably so annoying. And she was like, no. She was like, this helps me so much. Thank you. And I'm like, okay, good. I wasn't being the annoying mom. And it is helpful because sometimes like you ride with people and you're like, I fucking get it. I know.
Yeah,
Like it's
totally.
and like, but so yeah, riding style, it's just all so different and it's just so variable. But it's
Yeah.
also amazing. And I'm glad, like, even though I'm not like doing all the snow stuff this year, I'm glad I still have an outlet with like doing Peloton stuff and like getting my booty on the road bike and my mountain bike and riding my bike.
Yeah, hell yeah. I was thinking today how I'm going to be so sad when the snow level gets to the point that there's not really any snowmobiling left,
Yeah.
because at that point, it's still not just going to transfer right over or transition right into bike season. There's still going to be a lot of snow, and um, it's the trails around here are probably going to be snowy for quite some time.
Yeah.
That and aside from that, right, it's you have to wait for them to actually dry out a little bit. It's not just like, oh, snow's gone, here we go, or there's patches of snow. There's so much trail etiquette to not ride trails when they're too muddy because you rut them out and ruin them down the line and whatever. So just all these things, but there's plenty of places that I can go to just down the hill, 30 minutes, an hour, hour and a half. But that again is where my problem always lies, of that like quote unquote accessibility. Like, how am I gonna take the time to go drive an hour or two to bike for an hour or two?
Mm-hmm.
But because I am doing the sturdy dirty, maybe this year I will have a little more motivation to do that. If anything, I mean, Reno still, there's still plenty of places I can go ride in Reno to at least get on some dirt and start riding, especially as soon as like sledding kind of stops, because I don't foresee myself going into this full on spring split board mode. I mean, maybe,
Yeah.
but I think I'll be like, okay, I guess it's time to try and bike now so I can actually feel comfortable doing this race, because it's just really important for me this year to do
Yes.
the fucking race
Yeah.
and to feel good going into it, not just doing it like
On,
coming to the point and being like, oh no, I haven't ridden, but I'm gonna do it anyways.
yeah.
I want to not do well. I'm not looking to place or anything. I think I mean doing the beginners category because I've never raced or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I just want to feel good. I want to feel
Yeah.
like I wasn't pinched the whole time. So,
Totally.
and
Yeah.
then we'll see
And
how it
like you
goes.
and like you belong there. Like you belong in that part of the being a racer.
Yeah, and I mean, well, I feel like the thing with Dirty Dirty too, what they try to convey is that everyone does belong. You don't have to be a professional or trying to be a professional or be even competitive to do this race, which is why they have these different categories. Um, and at this point, yeah, I don't foresee myself doing it to continue on to go race and get competitive. At one point, I did like 5 or 6 years ago. I was like, yes, this is going to be my start. And
Yeah.
again, not to like win or be professional, but to do it often and maybe try to get to somewhat competitive level, but again, not anywhere near professional level by any means. But now it's just like, if I don't do it this year, I don't think I fucking ever will. So if I do it this year, maybe I'll continue to year after year after year.
Yeah.
But like, if I
Because it's
don't,
so fun. I've just heard it being
yeah,
so fun. I just am I'm the type of person where I'm just like so turned off by races and I don't know what that is about me, but I am just not competitive or I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what it is, but
I
that's who I
can,
am.
I totally understand because, well, I've never really done anything competitive in like the action sport world. I did a bank slalom once that again was just all
Fun.
for fun. It was like a fundraiser they do every year around here. Um, and I definitely fell or something. And then I fell in a spot where you're just never going to gain speed back or anything. And have never done one before and just did it like Hillary was there. I mean, Andrew, the whole crew and everything. And all just for fun, but I get so nervous with
Yeah.
people watching me do those sports that at least with
So,
biking, I mean, I don't know. People are spread throughout the course, I guess. It depends on the course itself and how it's set up. But the bank slalom was just way too many people. Everyone watches you. I was just like, oh my God, I feel like, I'm gonna
yeah.
get tomatoes thrown at me, or it's like
Right.
how embarrassing if you fall and you just can't go again.
Yeah.
And again, it comes to the mindset of constantly thinking like, don't fall, don't fall, don't do this, don't do that. And
Yeah.
then you do.
Yeah.
So trying to just be in a good mindset of like, just relax, just have fun, don't worry about it, and quit letting the negative thoughts seep in.
Or
You're
the
gonna be
pressure.
fine.
Yeah, I didn't even think of it that way, but I guess like when I was playing fast pitch in high school, I would constantly strike out up at bat. Like I would always just fuck it right all up.
Because that's just where people, you're the one, you're on the
Yeah,
stage, everyone's watching
the
you.
pressure and
Yeah.
like whether it's you putting it on yourself or like your team or other people,
Mhm.
it's like I just yeah, and I don't do well under pressure.
Yeah. It's funny when I think about doing tests or anything, I feel like I can't really pinpoint if I'm good at tests or not. Because it depends on what I guess what the format of the test was. A vocabulary test, I feel like was great because I could just memorize, I knew exactly what to memorize, the word, the definition, the spelling. Um, but on other tests, like multiple choice or short answer or whatever, I feel like I just go through them so fast. Like I get
Yeah.
nervous and then I don't read the questions all the way and answer
Yes.
and like, oh my God, I totally, flipped those words and thought I was asking this because I just go so fast. Um, and again, it comes down to like a pressure thing, right? It's a test. Someone's watching or someone's going to be grading me. So, but in competition of other sports, I mean, team sports, yeah, that was totally different. I mean, I was hit or miss with fast pitch and going up to bat, I'd strike out, but then I'd also hit like a home run.
Yeah.
But with nobody on base is how
Yeah.
that usually happened for me. Like, God damn it. So I could have heavy hits, but I just wasn't consistent.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, other sports, like I said, I mean, soccer, there's just so many other people.
Yeah.
And
And it's
wrestling was
so
just,
fucking fun, man. Oh,
yeah.
soccer's the best.
And I think with wrestling, it was just so ingrained in me with starting early that
Yeah.
pressure of anyone watching did not matter to me whatsoever. But yeah, I'm excited to do the race, and it's super cool too that it's an all women's race. I mean, it's in July, but it's Women's History Month. So if you don't know about the Sturdy Dirty and you like mountain biking, then look them up. I think it's only in Oh wait, no, I think they have one in Oregon again this year, Oak Ridge, because they used to have like three. They had Idaho, Washington, and Oregon one, but then it went down to just Washington for a few years. I feel like now I can't remember this year if they also have the Oak Ridge one back or not, but anyhow, yeah. So hopefully that's a motivator to me to just get my butt on a bike when I can't do other things. But right now it's so hard for me to think about doing anything besides snowmobiling.
What'd you say? July? It's a long ways away.
Yeah. And then and cross country skiing just at my yard, which that's what I was gonna go do earlier when I messaged you, take the dogs out for just a little walk around the yard, but I actually need to still be working. And it was snowing lightly, but getting dark and cold that I was just like, nah, I don't really want to walk around in 25 degrees in the setting sunlight and well, not like pretty setting sunlight, it's just gray and then snowy. But I felt a little bad. Like, man, I need to get some steps in, and these dogs probably need some steps. But yeah, so do you have any grand ideas for people and Women's History Month, or anything that you might be doing this month to celebrate?
I've been doing a lot of baby showers.
There
Showers, and both pregnant women are having girls. So
Oh,
that's important to see powerful, passionate, caring, nurturing women bring more amazing women into this world.
mm-hmm.
And one is being welcomed into motherhood just in general, which is always exciting for me to watch my friends become new moms. Um, man, so I've been thinking about it lately, and I am not exactly sure where I'm going to go with this, but I think Women's History Month is great, and I think that women should always and forever be uh, admired and respected and praised for all the amazing things that we do, because we do so fucking much, whether people know it or not. Like, our mental load, women do a lot, and I'm not trying to say men don't, but I had a thought today where I'm like, how, like, I love men, they're great. But like, what if there was a Men's History Month? How, like, what would that, you know what I mean? Like, what would that look like? And like, what would that be honoring? And
Yeah. What would that be honoring is a huge
yeah,
question, because especially, and again, I don't like to get too political or anything, not that I'm trying to steer away from it, but I just know we can go down rabbit holes, right? But especially white men,
yeah,
because what is that honoring or remembering? Because what rights did they never not have?
yes, yes.
So with other races, Black History Month. I don't know if there's like a celebratory month for Latino or Latina or anything. But there's things to celebrate because they didn't always have these rights. Women didn't
Yeah.
always have the right to vote, to go to school, to work.
Vote, have a bank
Yeah.
account, buy a fucking
Yep.
house, man.
Yeah. So
And we're honestly still fighting for these things. Like, I know so
Mhm.
many women who are like, this dude who's younger than me, has less experience than me, still makes more money than me. And it's just like a deliberate slap in the face, it feels like.
Well, I mean, shit, look what's happened in the last year just with rights of our own body and what's happening in states of them taking away abortion rights, and the abortion, even like the abortion pill, I think is in Texas that they're trying to criminalize, or another state. But it's just like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Again, so yeah, here we are, Women's History Month, where we could have celebrated women's rights and their rights to do these. And now
Yeah,
we're like,
yeah.
oh, wait, we actually can't celebrate that one anymore. Like,
Mhm.
what the fuck?
Yeah.
Rights, just, I don't understand how they are given and then taken away again. That doesn't make any sense in any concept. I feel like that
Yeah.
you give it and then just take it away.
Yeah, like a
What
little
the fuck?
tease.
Yeah. So that's just really, really fucking crazy. And again, like you said, just been just thinking about it. And I honestly looked up some stuff. So I sent out my own little newsletter of some things you can do to celebrate that were all real kind of lighthearted. Because a lot of things that when I looked up, a lot of them had to do with it, joining organizations or some were like start a protest. I'm like, well, I don't know. I guess I just don't feel like I'm in a place to start a protest or anything right now. Like
Nor have the
like
time.
yeah. But I support those who are in a place that a protest would be heard.
And are
And
making it their life's work. Like they
yeah,
are doing the fucking work.
absolutely. So for me, my suggestion was like looking up organizations and getting involved with them. And maybe that's just following them or donating to them or kind of dipping your toes in that way. Because again, we have kind of talked about how people can make you feel bad or guilty for not doing enough. People make you feel bad or guilty for not talking about things. Even just my comment of like, okay, I don't like getting too political, then people will have something to say about that. If they're like, well, why not? Like,
Yeah.
just
Or
because,
you are getting political and
yeah, it's
because
like,
how can you not when things like our reproductive rights are being given to us and then
yeah,
taken away and it's 2020 freaking 3 like
yeah. And I have
how
no problem getting political, but when I'm in the time and place to have the conversation. Like for this, I mean, this summer, we had some conversations, but we set aside the time to have and space to have that specific conversation. So I don't feel like it's fair sometimes to kind of tippy toe around subjects and kind of talk about it, but not talk about it fully. Like I want to give it the time that it deserves. So that's why it's like,
requires
yeah, sometimes I
aggression.
mention them and I'm like, okay, we're not going to dive too deep into it because we're not as prepared as we want to be to talk about that subject in depth.
Mhm.
And I don't want to be, other than just saying my opinions, which I have no problem saying, but but yeah, I just want to actually be able to make educated statements at times rather than just fuck you for
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
not like
Especially when we're on the cloud forever.
on the club forever and ever. Um, but yeah, I mean, there's organizations regionally, nationally, globally, depending on what kind of reach you want to get or what you want to look into to find it. And it depends on what you're passionate about, right? Is it reproductive rights? It could be helping to get women in schools in other countries, help with their education somewhere else, help just get women who have absolutely no rights fight for their rights there. I don't think that it is just a battle that you need to take on in your own
Yeah.
area or
Well,
country
even
or
like
anything.
us, like lifting up other women in the sports that we do. Like I feel
Mm-hmm.
like we are very great at that and like educating them in the things that we know and sharing that and even just something as simple as like comfortably sessioning a certain section of
Mm-hmm.
like on the snowmobile or like on a mountain bike or on a snowboard or a ski, whatever. It's just like in any way that you can support your sisters, support your friends who are mothers. Please support your friends who are mothers.
Yeah,
Like I
absolutely.
can't stress that enough. Support
Yeah.
your friends who are mothers and even the ones that don't seem like they need it. We all need it. It's so hard. It's the hardest job ever.
Yeah, I feel like that goes into sometimes people get to a point where they stop asking a friend to hang out because they always say no.
Yeah.
But that is, I've been that way in my life, but that was something totally different of a friend who's just like flaky, where it's like, okay, why don't you just call me when you're
Yeah.
ready? and I'm at a point in my life, and all my friends are now, that I can tell the difference of when someone's actually busy and our time just doesn't line up, that I will keep asking you.
Yeah.
I do not blatantly not ask you because you say no, because I may have just forgotten, or I knew that, it was going to be a quick something that wouldn't be worth someone's time. But for my mother friends, my nurse friends, my friends that are working 3 jobs, if they're saying no because they have another priority, I know it's because they have another priority, not just because like, oh, they don't want to hang out with me. But like you said, just very important to kind of keep that in mind, and think about who it is you're talking to in the first place before you kind of maybe react in that possibly judgmental way. And going way back to when you said you were with your friend biking and telling her all these things and worrying about sounding like that person who's, I know what to do, like just telling you what to do. um I have definitely been on both parts of those, feeling like I'm that person, and then also being with someone who's like, oh my god, like shut up, I know what to do.
Yeah.
But I have tried to have a lot more patience with people in knowing that, um okay, they don't know my skill level. Maybe I've never been out here with them on a bike, on a snowmobile, on a snowboard, or whatever. So they don't actually know my ability. And they're just trying to help. And
Yeah.
so I'll let them kind of keep saying their thing, because maybe there will be something that I know. And if they say something that I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not gonna do that. Like, I'm just not gonna do it. I'm not gonna be like, shut up, bitch.
Yeah.
But there has been a time where I felt like saying that to people, but again, just coming into a little bit more of my own, and trying to be more understanding and patient, and realizing too that it's like, yeah, again, people don't know what your ability is, and some people just want to be teachers. I feel like I've had this experience lately, but again, it was someone who knew way more about the sport and had been in a lot more situations and conditions than I had. So, if anything, I'm going to learn something, but everyone learns differently. And sometimes I don't like to be told just what to do, but I really do like watching people in front of me. But with biking, you can't really see all that, right? And I really don't mind it when someone's in front of me and they're like, oh, hill, so that I can already be prepared to like majorly downshift or whatever I need to do, pop my seat up or down. Especially if it's a trail you're not familiar with. I don't mind those cues because it just makes it a little bit easier. Because the worst thing too is like all of a sudden you're flowing downhill on a bike and a sharp point comes and you're going uphill, oh my god, like down
Didn't
down
shift
low,
in the
yep,
right
yep,
time.
didn't shift, or like, so your seat's down and now it's not popping up, and you're
Yeah.
just like, cool, lost all my momentum.
Walk up this motherfucker.
Yeah, and that's why I really like to have Andrew in front of me snowmobiling, or anybody who has some, not, they don't even have to have experience, but just someone in front of me, and I watch their footwork, like, oh, they're on one side of the snowmobile, like, okay, it's we're on a hill now, like a side hill. So if I just hop over here, I'm gonna have more balance instead of me not seeing it. And it's just, yeah, I love to watch other people first, and then I feel like I learn better and get comfortable with the trail or whatnot. Or now for myself, I don't have to have Andrew fully in. I'm getting more comfortable not having him in my direct line of sight, as long as I can see his bright yellow suit somewhere so I know I'm going the right direction is what I'm aiming for. But in these conditions lately, they've just been pretty good that I haven't had to worry as much about following a very specific line, and I'm getting more comfortable with um not having to follow his exactly. But it's, again, just comes down to the way people learn, and just having patience with that, and with people, or being able to have the conversation of like, hey, look, I know you're really trying to help, but I don't really learn well this way, but I would love to watch you do this, or maybe you can watch me do it and then tell me what you see, and I learn better that way. But that was one of my suggestions for the month, was like getting out to have a ladies' day or night, and a lot of these things I wrote in the newsletter, I feel like they should not be held to only doing this month. I mean, you should do this whenever you want, all the time. But especially this month, if you don't do these things, maybe it's a good time to look into them and try to get it on a regular schedule. Like the other night I had gone out with a couple of my friends for drinks, and it's like, wow, it's just so hard to believe that this only happens like once a month, if that. And we need it. By the time we finally make it happen, we had needed it so fucking badly. So just trying to get out as often as possible, even if it's only like with one other girlfriend or two, and trying to make those sessions about being just positive, not just laying your shit on. I mean, sometimes you need to talk about your stuff and about what's going on, but you also need to put yourself in the environment where you can have a positive outlook, because maybe that makes you be able to go back to those problem areas with a different perspective, because now your mind is in a different place, and you're able to look at it from a different view and kind of dissect things differently, rather than put all your shit onto your friends who just agree with you, like, yeah, he is an asshole. And then you come home, you're like, yeah, you're a fucking asshole. You are an asshole. Everyone knows. Everyone said it. So, like, you ate the last chip.
I feel like with Women's History Month, it's a good time to ask yourself how you feel like you could best show up for your community and the women in your community, and kind of like, even if that means like mentally taking yourself back to 2020 when the world shut down and how we all had to like resort back to smaller spaces, and like our community, as far as like our homes, as small as like home, like how can you support your female community in your home, and then look outside of that and like your neighbors, and then your city and your community. Just like really try to dig deep and think about how you can give back to your community, especially your less privileged community.
Yeah, small steps, right? Like you're saying, it's like kind of come back to your core. So maybe it starts with, again, just your close friends, of you guys getting together, or even just checking in. Like, I know this friend is going through a hard time, or they're busy, or whatever it is, and just checking in with them. I mean, not everyone has something to give, but I'm like, man, even a hello text, or like, hey, I never get to see you, and we can't go have coffee. I'm Venmoing you $10 to go get yourself a fucking coffee. Like, you know, like that would
also be. If they don't respond back to you, understand that like sometimes for some people, if it has been a while since you've checked in or talked or had a consistent relationship, it takes people some time to get back to those places, and try not to be like, oh, well, fuck her for not responding or responding this way. You just really never know what someone is actually really going through.
Yeah, they don't always have the capacity to respond back to you, which we've also talked about before, is taking that pressure off of expecting someone to respond back. And I sometimes preface that with like, hey, I just want to check in. Like, I hope you're doing well. I know you're busy. Like, don't even feel like you need to answer this or respond back. And as women too, we always do feel that. So if you did something like Venmoed your good friend $10 and go get a coffee on me, like, they're probably going to do it back to you. Like, oh my God. And it's like, no, don't feel like you have to do it back to them. If you are on the receiving end of this, at least not right away, accept it. Like, accept the compliment, accept the gift. And when the time is right in your life, you pass it on, and it might not even be back to that person in that same exact way. That may just be like, you know what? I know someone else going through a hard time, you know, a month from that, where you can just pass it on to them. And I think, again, it's just getting in the mindset of realizing you don't have to reciprocate everything you get if you are not able to. I mean, accept it with gratitude, but yeah, you don't have to feel this pressure of, oh, I owe you now, because that's not
sustainable. It's
not. And I mean, sometimes people are honestly trying to be selfless. I'm not trying to give you a gift so I get a gift back.
Like I just genuinely want to do this nice thing for you.
Me and my friend around Christmas time went and got pedicures, and there was just a miscommunication. There's two parks with the same name. One's in Truckee and one's in Tahoe City, or Tahoe Vista, so where she was. So she was saying she was at this park, so I thought she was already in Truckee, and then come to find out, like, she wasn't. And it was later in the afternoon. I'm like, oh my God, you drove all the way over here at this time of day just to like go get a quick pedicure, and that's all you have time for, and you'd been out all day long and like drive to Truckee all the time. I am so sorry. I did not realize that's where you were. She didn't realize I was thinking that park. And I'm like, I am totally paying for your pedicure for one. Like, I never get to see you. And whenever I do, you end up driving to Truckee. I haven't been over there in a long time. And I just want to do it. And I never expect that you owe me a pedicure back. Like, never, ever. But it's just hard too, like I said, as women, to not keep that in the back of your mind of, okay, I need to do this for that person because they did something for me. But it's like try to just be a good giver and a good taker.
Yeah.
But like you said, get back to your community, your core, and that might just be your mom, your sister, your aunt, whatever, your best friends. And if you can expand from that, awesome. If you can't right now, then you can't. And I also mentioned even just sharing or supporting women-owned businesses. So whether that's your friend or acquaintance or something you've just stumbled across, as long as everything's legit and the business as itself is someone you can support, like just sharing their shit on social media, liking, commenting, those things for a lot of these small businesses do go a long way still. Sometimes they don't because Instagram's just fucking stupid, but it just doesn't have to be a monetary investment all the time to show your support for people. And I think we just have to remember that.
And it could also be like sharing education, especially with like all the wildness that's going on with like queer and trans people. And there are queer and trans women, and they deserve to be a part of this community too. And everybody's stories matter.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's such a good point too, because that is something that when I was making just the posts and the newsletter, that I definitely thought of these communities, and I'm learning. So I still don't know how, there's just so many different things, right? Where like some would say you're being exclusive by saying like women's. And I don't know really how to, if I do need to do or say something differently to be inclusive. But there's also the argument of trans or women identifying. It's like they identify as women. So to me, saying Women's History Month like includes them if you identify as a woman. But that's my understanding, and I am so more than open to someone explaining that differently for me. But that's how I understand it, and that's what I mean by it, is anyone who identifies as a woman is included in this.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, so as this month goes on, I mean, I just want to again have some guests for sure before the month gets fucking away from us, because it's
happening fast.
It happens faster every time. So I will be getting on the horn this week and seeing if I can get a couple of people on. And otherwise, I just want to like share events, and we'll be doing that via social media too. So if you see or hear of events around you, Amber, that you want to share, like just always, like, we'll just be sharing those. I'll be sharing stuff around here, or just organizations that I support. Like I said, like She Jumps, they're all across the nation, so they're doing something everywhere on that day. Like lots of different ski resorts will have a get the girls out, is what they call it. And it's not just skiing, they do so many other activities as well. So if you're not a skier, don't live in a mountain area, there's so many other things to get out and do. And again, just to be in that community of women who are supporting each other, because if you haven't done something like that, I highly suggest it to give it a go. See what that energy's about.
Amazing. Gosh, there's really nothing like it.
There isn't. And I just remember a time in my life of being in my young, like, teenage years or 20s, and again, because if society puts women against each other, our society especially, of, you know, the cool girl, like, oh no, you want to be the girl, you're the guy's girl, you're the token girl in whatever you're doing, or you and your one friend are, or whatnot. And I'm just like, no. Once I started finding all these groups, and She Shreds was one of the first groups I got actually involved in, and I was like, this is so fucking cool, like having a group of women just supporting each other instead of talking shit and being like, yeah, do it, and being so stoked for the little wins, because you're not always impressing people, but it's not about that. It's just about the people watching you and your reaction to learning something new or having something click. I mean, that's why I like doing all the things I do, coaching, personal training, like, teaching people how to do something that they've never done before, or getting into
their body.
It's like amazing to see that. It's like teaching a kid something new. You're like, oh my god, they rode their bike. It's like so cool for a parent, or them learning their first word, I'm sure, you know. Seeing human beings do something that you've helped teach them is just like, or even if you didn't, just seeing them accomplish something that was a goal is just
that
amazing.
mental click, like, because I know that there's been a lot of times in my life where I've like gotten over this like mental hurdle, and then I'm just like, whoa, like it helps open up your brain to so many different things.
Yep, absolutely. Well, we've already been on here for a freaking hour. I mean, I always say there's gonna be short and sweet, and it's always in that hour time frame. I can't keep it shorter. We just keep going, but it's fine. And I think before we now just start to ramble or anything, we'll wrap it up. But in short, it's happy Women's History Month. I hope that, so this will probably be maybe released tomorrow night, but just so people can listen to it maybe before International Women's Day, and give them some ideas as to what to do, or it's going to be released on International Women's Day. In any case, happy International Women's Day on March 8th. And I hope that everyone got to do something with either their best gal pals, or just went and treated themselves to some time alone or something fun, and just celebrate yourself as a woman or woman identifying person, and you fucking know that you rule, and we rule,
and you deserve to get paid more.
Yes, absolutely. Don't you fucking hand me the short straw.
Equal rights. Men's History Month can suck it.
Absolutely. Okay, thank you everybody for tuning in again for another episode, and see you next week.
Bye.
We hope you enjoyed this episode, and would do us a huge favor, since we don't have any sponsors or anything like that, and would rate and review us on whatever platform it is you use, Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, whatever it is. And if you're listening and downloading just through the website, tearingituppodcast.com, leave comments. We'll definitely engage back with you. And on social media right now, we're just on Instagram. Tearing It Up Podcast is the handle. Like the post, share the post, comment on the post, whatever it is you got. Show us your love so we just stay relevant and show up in the rankings at all. So again, rate and review, please. And we'll see you next time. Thanks.